Algebra 1, Lesson 105, Factoring by Grouping. So factoring by grouping it seems a little tricky at first, but it's actually pretty simple and it's a lot of fun. So we'll just go ahead and tackle one of these problems. So when we have to factor by grouping, we'll see a large term that looks like this: xya minus 4a plus xyb minus 4b. All right, so when we factor by grouping, what we're looking for are terms that are very, very similar. So none of these are like terms, but we can find some that are very, very similar. For example, some of you may have noticed these both have a's and these both have b's. Right, so that's one thing that we notice about them. The other thing you'll notice is that this and this have an xy, and this number both have the number 4, or negative 4 actually. But we're going to start with the a's and the b's first, right? So when we factor by grouping, what we do is we insert some mental parentheses in the problem. We're going to group the a's, and then we'll go ahead and group the b's, all right? So mathematically, I haven't changed anything because you can insert parentheses inside of addition problems without changing the answer or the outcome. Now what happens is when we insert these parentheses, we see that I can factor each term respectively as the greatest common factor. So once I've inserted those parentheses, I look for the greatest common factor in the first one, which is a. So I go ahead and I factor a out, leaving me with xy minus 4. Then I go to the second one. Let's see here, we'll keep that plus sign there. And then the second one, the greatest common factor is b, so I factor the b out. And then I have, again, xy minus 4. So what's interesting now is we did one grouping. We pulled out the pair that we saw, and now we see another pair. Here, in this case, the greatest common factor is the single idea of xy minus 4. It shows up in both of these. So we can again group, we can again factor again, or again factor again. We can factor this all over again. What we do is we take the xy minus 4 as the greatest common factor, we pull it out, and then inside the parentheses, we put the numbers that are left, which would be a plus b. So that's grouping by factoring. We'll go ahead and do another example so we can get the full effect of this. Let's see if I can find a tough one that's kind of scattered and out of order. Oh, and for this problem, some of you may be asking, hey, what if I went with the xy's and the 4's first? You could have done that. If you're going to go with something that's not adjacent or right next to each other, you would have to rewrite the problem. So if I was going to factor the xy method, I would have had to rewrite the problem as xya plus xyb minus 4a minus 4b. And here I would have factored xy out as greatest common factor, then I would have had a plus b. And then I would have factored, for this one, I would have factored negative 4 out. So then I would have had negative 4 times a plus b. Once I factor out the negative 4, then we see that we've got a plus b is a greatest common factor, so we have a plus b times xy minus 4. And these are backwards, but they're the same number because when it's just two numbers being multiplied, so it doesn't matter what order they're in. Now we'll go ahead and do that last example. Let's see here. Have MBA, not MBA minus 7A plus MBM. Oh, nope, that is an N. Ooh. Maybe I should have picked a different problem. Hold on, I'm going to rewrite this. So MBA minus 7A plus MBN minus 7N. Okay, so the first pair that I see here are the A's. So I'm going to go ahead and factor those out. That's A times MB minus 7. And then here the greatest common factor I see is N. So that'll be plus n times mb minus 7 again. So then here, mb minus 7 shows up in both of them, so that becomes my greatest common factor, and I'm going to have mb minus 7 times a plus n. And that's the final answer. All right, if you guys have any questions, let me know on Moodle, and I will see you in class.